So the older I get, the more I realize that I don't think I was raised like other black people. And I get this through every debate I get. Um, I guess in order to kind of understand, like, I grew up obviously in a two-parent household with my mother and father. So, and we were not like I was rich. We moved around a lot. My father, he worked at the same job for 30 years. He's about to retire soon. My mother, she had jobs, but they were government jobs, but she bounced around from job to job. And my father always supported her. Even like, so I've had a two-parent household. My mother, she worked and she also cooked. My father, he was always there. He was both parents I can count on. I grew up in a big family. Now, I'm from DC, but some people, I don't have the thick DC accent or the DMV area. Um, Mostly like PG County, Maryland, and all that other stuff. So, excuse me. I don't have that thick accent that most DC people hear. You hear it from, and I've always thought I did, but when I got older, people was like, "You talk weird" or "You talk different," and I never understood that because I grew up in the hood, around drug dealers and killers and all that other stuff. Drug dealers, killers, and niggas. I've got this. I got this from white people in the Navy too. It's like you don't talk black, and that also threw me off because none of the black people ever said that, but it's mostly white people that said, "Yeah, you talk different." Like you know, to this day, I guess that's what people mean was like. But I never seen myself as proper. I always kind of thought to myself as someone that grew up from the hood, which is probably why one of my favorite lines from Andre 3000 is, "Ain't a hood nigga, but a nigga from the hood." See, mama stayed on me, so I turned out pretty good. So if you want to try suck a nigga trying to do it, sleep telling you on PM if I pull it. Which basically is like, look, I'm not like one of these hood niggas, but don't get me wrong, I am from that hood. And I can turn it on anytime I want to. Don't front on me. So I kind of always thought of myself as that. Not a hood nigga, but a nigga from the hood. But obviously, now, where is this all going? Like, around this week, and these probably past 2 weeks, people have been looking at surviving R. Kelly, and then the whole pedophilia thing, and even the Me Too movement, everything. I'm the type of person, and I guess this is also where I feel like people was raised. If something bothered me, I let someone know. Like, even if I tried to hide it, my emotions were on my sleeve, so you would know. I never cried wolf either because that's one of the stories that always grew up. It's like the boy who cried wolf. He kept crying wolf, and then once the wolf came, he cried wolf. No one believed him, and the kid dies. So I usually tell people, stop crying wolf, because once shit does happen, people are not going to believe you. Obviously, that's the moral of the story. So my parents, they always knew if something bothered me, and I would tell them, they would jump on it. Like I remember, my father tells the story all the time where it was like I don't remember it, but my father remembers it. It was like I guess, an older person was did something, not in no molestation type of something like that, but I guess he hit me or something like that. And I told my father. My father confronted him with a pipe wrench in his hand, and it was like. And I remember he was like, "Oh, no, no." And I was like, yes, you did. Yes, you did. So I've always I think that's where it is. I've always had a support system. But at the same time, I was never one to cry wolf. Now, the thing is, if I was able to handle something on my own, I can do it. But if there's something I can handle, I go to someone else. That's another thing. I feel like the way my mother and father raised me, I feel like everybody should have that, right? No. I've seen people. So when I get into these arguments, like, let's say the Me Too movement or the whole rape thing, and my thing is, why didn't you tell nobody? And they was like, I was afraid that nobody would believe me because of who this person was. And I'm not going to lie to y'all. I understand, but I also find it bullshit. And the only reason I find it bullshit because somebody is always listening. If this person's not listening, I'm pretty sure someone else is listening. Someone else you could go to and you could be like, this person did this. Oh, we're going to get to the bottom of this. And I feel that's why I feel like, oh, and my other reason why I always find the bullshit, because if he did it to you and you don't say nothing, someone else is going to catch someone else. He's going to do it to someone else, and he's going to keep doing it until it gets caught. I always always tell women, like, you should tell somebody. You should. I don't want to, and the thing is, I don't want to see it as victim blaming, but at the same time, I tell people, you're letting the killer get away. He's going to do it to someone else. At least if you put it out there, then something is going to happen. I feel like something is going to, like, somebody's going to look into it. Someone is going to do something about it. At least someone is going to do something about it. So, with that being said, watching and surviving R. Kelly, I'm on part 2 as of this moment. I'm on part 2. I've seen part 1. It pissed me off because I feel like everybody in that circle is to blame. R. Kelly, the people, his R. Kelly and his boys, the people who saw him do all these heinous things. And I'm not going to lie to you. I believe everybody. I believe he did it. It's like, I believe everybody. It's not like, oh, no, this shit was wrong. The only thing is about the Aaliyah thing because the parents said, like, they was with him and all that other stuff. But everything else, I believe. Because this is me as a teenager. I think the R. Kelly sex tape came out when I was like a teenager and all that other stuff. So when I heard that he married Aaliyah at 15, that should have been red flag number 1. Do you like little girls? And then red flag number 2, the Tory interview. When instead of he just saying no, when he was like 18, it was like, yeah, when he said, oh, when you said teenage girls. Now, don't get me wrong. It made him look guilty, but at the same time, he asked the right questions because 18, you're considered an adult. So, he should have, I think the way R. Kelly looked when he answered that question made him look guilty. And even everybody could see that. And plus him peeing on that girl, which was red flag number 3. And I'll keep saying this, he should have been locked up there. I've been saying this for a long time. So, that's why if you ever see anybody ever look at my post, I'm just like, it was like, I don't, and people are talking about this R. Kelly shit, and I told people, I don't care. Y'all let this happen. He should have been locked up 10 years ago when he peed on that girl. I've said this many a times. Now that everybody's like uproar about the R. Kelly situation, and everybody's mad, how could he do this? He's such a creep, and all that other stuff. This is when I say, y'all did this. And I've said this to, and I don't care how people take this, but y'all did this. Y'all let this happen. Boondocks tried to warn you. I feel like, and it's not, and okay, and this is for the women, because it's like, oh, because people feel like we're defending R. Kelly. Not that many people is defending R. Kelly. Some people, because he did make, some people feel like you shouldn't take the music, differentiate the music from the man. And R. Kelly is, I do believe R. Kelly is different. because he couldn't read. So what he sung, he really lived through, obviously. But men are not taking. I don't. As a man, I'm not taking this, feeling this whole I blame men for this, and then because back to what I'm saying is how I grew up. Society is fucked up. I think the whole black community and their mentality is fucked up. It needs a reset button. We need to have morals, and I think stuff like this is the reason why whole culture is all over out the rage and all that other stuff. So that's another topic of discussion. The black community is fucked up. Needs a reset button. We need to start from scratch. Period. Just burn it down. Burn it down. Build a new one. Start over from day one. That's if that was me. But at the same time, my sisters, when something bothered them, we was on it as a family. We was on it. Especially like my little sister, some dude really liked her, but she didn't like them, and nigga was kind of like off his fucking rocker, and then he like threw something at him. Now, the school did nothing, but my father, myself, and a couple others from the church that I used to go to made sure that she was safe. I came up there in a bat one day because, and my sister, my youngest sister, one of my youngest sister kept a knife on him because my father gave him a knife and he said, if they don't do nothing, we're gonna have to do this ourselves. Which is why I said you should at least tell somebody, because we was on that case and we was making sure. Because if I still to this day don't know what the dude looked like, but if I see him, I probably would have bashed his head in with a bat. But my sister seen me with the bat. She was like, "What are you doing?" I said, "Go to class." I might be rambling, but at the same time, I'm trying to like wrap this all up. I'm grateful for my parents, both my mother and father. Especially my father, because he was there and he wasn't just someone that was just on the sideline. He was there. He was in our lives. He asked questions. If you wanted to know what's wrong, he was someone to talk to. I still talk to him to this day from advice and all the other stuff. I get his opinions on everything. And I'm glad I have that. And I realized that having these conversations, not that many people have that. So I feel like when my views are like, when I throw my opinions out, it's coming from a place where I've always gotten help. And I never felt helpless. And even if I had no help, I was capable enough to do it myself and get myself out that trouble. Now, I don't think I'm sheltered or spoiled, but I've always had a support system. And with that, I try to put my support to others. Now, do I feel like everybody should do this? Yes, because we should help each other. But not everybody does this. So sometimes when I say things like we should help you, or you should tell somebody and all that other stuff, and everybody gives me, I'm not gonna lie, in my head it sounds like an excuse. The reason why it sounds like an excuse, because especially when you grow up around women that have good jobs, that have gone to school, men don't really tell them what to do, or it's like no one is holding them back. Like my mom was able to go to school and do what she want. My father, like my mother and father, they had a relationship where my mom, when she wanted the better education, get a better job, she did that. My mother she was big, she had a gastric bypass. My father was cool with that. She went from big to small and all that other stuff. My father was a supportive husband to his wife. So with that, I always try to be a supportive man to whatever woman I'm with or something like that. And I'm starting to realize that most men don't do that. Now, I'm not going to lie, that's a culture shock. But at the same time, it's just like, it's just weird. I always find it weird. So even when I get into these debates, I end up with the Doc Rivers face. Like, anybody seem to give the Doc Rivers face. And I think, to wrap this up, obviously, we need to, as a black community, I think we need to reset. Just hit the reset button. Start anew. Help each other. Get to a place where our black women don't feel like they're helpless. Get to a place where men feel like they could talk to somebody. And that's going to be my next video, because a lot of people feel like men aren't emotional, and I tell people all the time, men are fucking emotional. We're a fucking basket case. And I've been trying to work on that video for like the longest, but it never really tried to pans out. So the next time I do that video, it's going to be titled Men Are Emotional. And I feel like I at least have, I want not to say I'm the perfect guy for it, but I feel like I at least know enough that I can at least give my opinion on it and people can go, okay. So with that being said, I'm out. Peace.